Lynn, when you've got a load, what you call a load of clients, is there a certain number or figure, a number that you have that pretty well fills up your practice for by the month, or do you do it by the number of clients, or do you do it by the size of the clients, or?
It all depends, because sometimes I, it depends on what you have to do for them. Sometimes it's fairly simple and straightforward, and others are real involved. So you can't really go.
You can't pin it down that way, can you?
By numbers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just try to figure out what the workload is, and then.
Now, do you do sort of a variety of things in law practice, or do you specialize like in criminal law or civil law? Or
I do only really civil law, and that's just then estate planning and like wills and that, and then also some real estate matters. I just limit, and then related to that, small businesses in that part. But
I
that's
just
what I'm
wonder.
limited to. I don't get into much in the way of trials. Or
Trials.
Like that.
Yeah, who are some good trial lawyers locally? Do you know of any that off the top of your head that you recommend to somebody?
I think, I think, Jeff Mandas, Steve Wallenczek.
Steve's awful good.
Yeah.
Steve's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Steve's awful good.
I mean, in his prime was Phil Tolliver, and that was when he was in his prime at that point. And you had to have a dose of a short amount of Phil is about all you can take. But in a courtroom, he knew how to.
He knew what to say and what to do, didn't he? Yes, he did. I've watched him in action, and I thought, geez, he's very talented, I had to say. I still love being with him. He cracks me up sometimes. He's liable to say anything to me.
Exactly. Well, you got.
I remember when he helped us get to four-year college. I was president of student government at the Northern Community College, and Phil was teaching a class there. And along came Walt Dunleavy and looked me up, and he says, we will need to gather signatures in support of this four-year college to make community college a four-year college. And they had Phil King, who, by the way, is Terry Shobert King's father, was state representative, and he was a smart state representative lawyer and worked on the railroad, believe it or not. He was a full-time railroader, too. A lot of people didn't know that. I worked on the railroad with him. And I was secretary of the Brotherhood of Railroad Trainmen, and I watched how he worked in the legislature. And he was actually the one that brought the Democrats together, because Louis Nunn was the one that passed got the legislation passed.
John Brooking in that.
John Brooking, another good man, another good lawyer. And but he and Art Schmidt from Campbell County were the two biggest pushers of getting the four-year college started, and Phil King lined up the Democrats, and Art Schmidt was lining up the Republicans with Ken Harper and then the other Democrats, Johnny Eisler and who was from Ludlow? I'm trying to think here. Sheehan, Marty Sheehan, Gus Sheehan. Gus Sheehan at that time, I think, mainly on the college, who was a senator. But Phil Tolliver actually went out and got very forceful for it. In fact, I think it even cost him his job, if I remember correctly, up there. I think he rubbed him in the wrong way. And but he helped me out a great deal when I was gathering students to sign. So I got all the fraternities up there at that time. They helped to gather signatures. And Dr. Charles Talbert, who was the big history teacher up there for almost everybody from northern Kentucky. He was chairman of the history department up here, but he was from Lexington. And did an excellent job, and he was for the four-year college. Okay. And Thomas Hankins.
Yeah, put a little bit on it, Harry.
Oh, that looks good. That looks good.
That's good.
That looks good. Well, you really got the back perfect there, Harry.
All right.
Yep. Looks good.
That back is really perfect.
And
The
I usually have a cowlick there, John. If they don't do it right.
well, I tell you what, it looks good. But Tom Hankins was the director, and he was for the four-year college. But when Houseman came in later, he was not necessarily for it. And it was a battle. It was like the English department against the history department. The English department was against it, and the history department was for it. But we gathered several thousand signatures to support it. I never will forget that. And Phil played a big role in that.
Yeah.
Phil Tolliver. But well, now what else are you up to? You haven't got a card on you, have you?
I don't. You got $10.
I do.
I'm going to have to get your number, so if any time I need to call you and talk to you.
Leonard, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
John,
Where-
your name came up the other week, so good to see you.
Where are you? Where can they reach you?
I'm down at, well, we sold the
You don't
building
think you
at
don't take
502
that off?
Green up
I figured you
we're
could.
now at 600 Green.
Okay.
And we're up on the second floor of the building where Mark Arnton owns.
Yeah. Well, now you do take some estate planning and things like that, don't you?
Yeah.
Where would people reach you though if they needed to want to call you?
Just give me a call at 859-491-4444.
Okay, let's have that number one more time slowly now.
859-491-4444.
Yeah, they still got that.
Yeah, that was original.
Folks, if you need any advice or need help legally from the standpoint of these topics, retirement, information, estate planning, and other areas of the law that have to do with finances, you'd be a good person to ask questions of and to get involved.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Tell the other lawyers down there with you I said hello.
Will do.
God bless you. Have a great
Sure.
day.
Take care. Good to see you,
Hey,
Harry.
Leonard, thank you,
Take
buddy.
care.
All right, see
We'll
ya.
see you around.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just got off work.
Yeah, that's
Now, Harry, we got this young fella here.
Do a slick back. You could do
I tell you what,
like a
Larry's-
fade on the side,
Harry's cutting hair like a young man, isn't he?
where,
Hey, Bill.
it's pretty short
Harry's
on the
cutting
side, but not all
Harry's
the way.
cutting hair like a young man, isn't
Yes,
he?
he is. He's hanging in there.
He's hanging in there. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, he's helping the Newtons a whole lot. They're on vacation.
Yeah.
Wasn't for Harry, they would get to close up.
I slick my hair straight back with pomade usually.
Well, Harry, you've cut a lot of young people's hair, haven't you,
Yeah, I have, John.
over the years?
Yeah.
I remember when I first went to the barber shop was probably back when an old guy with a handlebarred mustache in Independence there.
I got a picture of an old haircut for reference if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
All right.
Is that right? Where's it?
A second here and I'll pull my phone out.
Okay.
I used to get my hair cut there, right there across from the courthouse in Independence, Harry.
Yeah, I knew it was.
I can't think of what the guy's name was, but
Yeah, I'm brain dead too. I know his name. The old man.
yeah,
Farmer.
big, tall, lanky guy with
Yeah,
had a mustache.
good cut hair for the system, John. I hate to tell you.
Well, I had the haircut I had back in those days was sort of like a burr. I think that's about what I had. I played basketball, and I was more interested in bouncing the ball than I was what my hair looked like.
The picture I got, it's not a slick back, but you can see how short it is and how it's cut on the
So I
side.
tell you what, I don't know what you're trying to do, but you really don't need 8 inches of hair on top.
Yeah, I keep a little length on it so I can comb it back, but the way I had it cut, I've let it grow out a lot to where now it's just too long. My sideburns are too long. I got to tuck them behind my glasses. It just gets on my nerves.
Isn't it neat though to have a guy cutting your hair that's 82 years old that's cut literally thousands of heads of hair?
That would scare me to death.
It's a wonderful experience. And when he cut mine yesterday, I thought to myself, I'm a part of a system that Harry's had for literally
How long you been cutting hair?
Since
50?
9 o'clock this morning, I'm tired.
56 years. He's been cutting hair. 66 years he's been cutting hair.
64 years.
64 years.
Don't cut him short.
I'll get it right. 64 years.
64.
That's longer than my dad's been alive.
Yeah.
Hard to believe.
My dad was born in '66.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where did he go to school?
Bethel Tate.
Bethel State.
Bethel Tate.
Bethel Tate.
That's in Ohio.
It's in Ohio.
That's not in the United States, that's over across the river.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're
Now-
from Bethel, Ohio originally,
Oh.
in Claremont County.
Where are you from?
I'm from Bethel originally.
Are you?
My whole family, my grandpa's side is from Whitesburg, Kentucky.
Whitesburg.
Oh,
Which
which
is,
is that?
Yeah, we're hillbillies.
Yeah, well, I am too.
What county was Whitesburg in?
Yeah, Letcher County. up
Letcher
there.
County. Yeah, that's in eastern Kentucky, right?
Yes, sir.
I filmed the history of all 120 counties in Kentucky
And my grandma is from Nashville.
from Nashville.
Yep.
Now, do you ever go out on YouTube or Facebook?
Yeah, every now and again.
Well, when you get a chance, you go out under YouTube, under John Stephenson. That's my name. You can see the history of Letcher County.
I'll do that.
I have the history on there of all 120 counties that I filmed.
Nice. Yeah, my last name is Holbrook.
Holbrook. Well, there's a lot of Holbrooks. And one of my best teachers was a
The
Holbrook.
Holbrooks around here.
Yeah.
Grover Holbrook.
Lanny and.
Lanny
The
Holbrook,
real
yeah.
ones are from Whitesburg, though.
Well, that's right. Spoken like a true fella from Eastern Kentucky. I love it.
Okay, show me that picture. I wanna see what you're talking
All
about
right.
here.
Sounds good.
I tell you, I love life. Bill,
Yeah.
you doing okay? Now, you still working over at Kroger's too?
Yes, sir.
Boy, you're doing a good job over there. I was proud of you. I watched you working over there. You help them out a lot over there.
Yeah, I'm the main man.
Thank you.
You're a good man.
Yes.
You're a good man, that's for sure.
See how there's a fade on the side, how it's
Yeah.
cut short but not all the way
Well,
up.
who cut this? That's a shitty haircut.
Yeah,
I
that,
hate to say
Let me
it.
see, let me see a picture of it here, Harry.
Huh?
Bring it over here. Let me get it.
That was a lady that cut my hair
Is
at
that what you want?
big leagues.
You
Well,
want this on the side?
I like it with a
Let me-
fade where it's real
Okay.
short.
All right.
It gets
Bring-
longer as you go
Bring
up,
that phone over here a second,
where I
Harry.
just can slick it back
Okay.
straight.
Bring your phone over here. Let him bring that phone over here. Let me get a picture of that.
You want that short?
Where? On the sides?
No, the top. The top's not very long.
Yeah, no, I want the top long enough to slick it back. And then the sides nice and short and
Alright.
fade it out.
Well, this is what I needed. The last haircut of the day, a hard one. That's what I need. Something.
I'm sorry.
Bill, you want to get that picture for me
Something
there?
that's gonna
From
wear
him?
me out.
Young man, give him your phone there and I'll put that on my show here, that picture you showed him.
Oh, that's just an old haircut
Yeah.
picture. That ain't no
That'd be
stuff.
part of history. Hold that up there just to me and let me take a,
I messed it
Little
up
looking.
already.
Well, let me see that sucker.
Cut one, hit one.
Yeah, there's a few of them in here. I'd label as mine only.
okay, now let's see here.
Can you
So
see
bring it closer. Bring it all the way down here. That's a little closer. That's better. That's
Just
good.
just a real
Now that's the young fella we're getting. Harry's cutting his hair right now.
Short on the sides.
That's
long
good.
on the top.
Thank you now. And your name is Holbrook.
That's right.
What's your first name?
Brady.
Brady?
Brady Hope.
Grady? Grady with a G.
Football player.
Grady Holbrook.
I appreciate that.
Well, God bless you.
Thank
Well, Harry, this will be the last haircut you cut today, then, huh?
Last one today, buddy. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for fitting me in.
I'm getting out of here, guys.
Are you taking
I
off?
want to go home and take a nap. Old people take snacks.
That's right, I take a nap every day, but I sure ain't got one in the last 2 days.
They've kept you busy.
Gonna be
Good
taking
luck
one.
to you, son.
Appreciate that, brother. You have a good one.
John,
Take care.
Take care, baby.
Nice to see you.
My pleasure.
You're
Well,
definitely gonna take a nap after this haircut.
Well, we're gonna have to. Daryl and
Good to see you, Billy, thanks.
Todd are on vacation, and we miss them, but we're glad to get a chance to see Harry come in once in a while. Harry Sparrow. I tell you what, Northern Kentucky's one of the most sophisticated hairstylists in Northern Kentucky and Kentucky, I'd have to say. Yep. How many years you been married, Harry?
Told you. We've been together 67 years. We went together 4 years in high school.
Yep.
And then 2 years after we got married, and we've been married 62 years.
And your wife's first name is,
Ida.
and she is a lovely lady. Not only beautiful, but a lovely lady, a lady's lady. And I can say that honestly because I'm married to a lady that's just like that, June Guyman Stephenson. Smartest move Harry ever made and the smartest move I've ever made.
That was the smartest move you ever made, John.
I think it
You
probably.
fooled her, buddy. Yeah.
As she says, I'm the smartest move she ever made most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can see this on Facebook or on YouTube. And Travels with Dr. John Stephenson.
Is that you?
That's me.
What's your background?
Well, I'm a former superintendent of education for the state of Kentucky, the last elected one. Former commissioner of motor vehicles for the state of Kentucky. Former field representative and administrative assistant for Congressman John Breckinridge. And former high school teacher at Erlanger Lloyd High School, president of the Education Association.
I went to Rob.
Oh, did you go to Ryle?
You got around?
Well, my son graduated, not from Ryle, he graduated from Connor.
Oh yeah, I knew a lot of kids from Connor.
I have 3 daughters and 1 son,
Yeah.
and the daughters graduated from, 2 of them graduated from Erlanger Lloyd. 1 of them graduated from Boone County. That was Holly and Pamela, and then Colleen, Michelle, my other daughter, graduated from Boone County, and my son, Guito Stephenson, and graduated from Connor.
Nice. I'm from Bethel, but moved out here back in 2005 or around there. And my parents got divorced, and I ended up living with one of my old stepdads for about 15 years in a log cabin down by Rabbit Hash.
Down by Rabbit Hash. I've sang down there many a time at the little store down there.
Yeah, I ride my motorcycle down there quite often still.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I've sang down there many a time, haven't I, Harry?
Oh, yeah.
They have their Rabbit Hash days down
Yeah,
there.
Fun fact about me, I was the only one down there when the store burned down.
Is that right?
I was the one that called it in and everything.
Boy,
Is
you
that
know,
right?
I remember when that happened.
Huh? I'll be
In
daggone.
fact, I could show you a historical picture that you'll never see again.
Well, I'd love to take a shot of it here. That would be unique since I'm a history teacher.
By golly, you're right.
Hang on just a second. I'll get up for that one. It's not easy to get this poundage off a chair.
Yeah, I'm a big history buff too.
Now let's see here. Now this is that's the old original Rabbit Hash store there, in which used to be the Stephenson store, Let me get a close-up picture of that. Let's see here now. Maybe that'll get a little better. Let's see. Let me get over here so I got a clear shot at it.
Is there too much reflection on it?
Yeah, the reflection from the lights above. Tilt it this way toward me. The other way. That's better. Now, let's see here. There, I got it pretty good there now.
Well, that was
Okay.
a picture taken by me that night. I was the only one down there, and that's how small it started. And it took an hour and 45 minutes for anybody to respond to it, and I sat there and watched it burn all the way down to the stilts.
Oh, my.
When do you go about throw some water on it?
Yeah, they bolted the door shut. And I didn't want to get charged for arson.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I tell you,
I wanted to run down to the river and toss buckets on it, but I didn't. At that moment, I knew I was a part of a historical moment. I just didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, they
I would
kept.
have been on the news and you would have seen me, but at the time I had a girl with me. I had to get her home before her boyfriend got off work.
Oh, yeah, well,
Huh. Sound like you-
we won't get into that.
Sound like to me you was with the wrong girl there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came home early and I had to split.
Oh,
And I was this close to being on the news, but I said,
You'll pass
go
that.
down in history or help this girl out, and I helped her out.
Well, I understand. Well,
That was back when I was just partying all the time and stuff. I've been with a good girl for about 6 years now, and I wouldn't trade her for nothing.
well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that because the title of my show is, believe it or not, it's Are You Ready? You know what Are You Ready means? I'll tell you. Are you ready for the Lord? Jesus knocks on everybody's door, and but the doorknob is on the inside, and you have to open the door yourself and invite him into your heart. And as I learned from Billy Graham many years ago when I was a young man down at Crusade in Louisville, Kentucky, the old church I went to out there, Kenton Baptist Church, a little one-room church in Kenton Station. They took us kids down there on an old church bus. Brother Kerger and Polly, his wife, and 4 deacons, Walter Roden, John Grizel, Vernon Likens, and Carl Covey, drove us down there, me and my little sister and a bunch of other kids. And we heard Billy Graham preach in Louisville. And the sermon he preached was it's the Holy Spirit's job to convict, it's God's job to judge, and it's my job to love. And that's what I've tried to do ever since, is love people like I love Harry and I love you. And it really thrills my heart that you've got a young lady that you care for very much.
I appreciate that. I've lived a different kind of life, and I'd say I got things in perspective nowadays.
Yeah, well, we all make mistakes in life. And
Some more than others.
I learned from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. In all your ways acknowledge God and lean on your own understanding. But if you acknowledge God in all your ways, he will make your pathway straight. And so I always tell people, when Jesus knocks on your door, knocking on the door, you got to reach down, turn the knob, open the door, and invite him into your heart. And when the Holy Spirit comes into your heart, then you try to make a U-turn in life, and try to live for the Lord in what you do. And the only way you can do that, sometimes you got to read the Bible, or like my best friend that married me in June, and his wife Jan. We taught school all those years together, and he used his retirement money to buy a radio station. And even though he taught science and history at Beechwood High School and was a 4.0 graduate of colleges, he now his work in life, he's 82 years old too, like Harry, and they have a Christian radio station, 107.5 FM on the radio dial.
Nice.
It's out of Falmouth, Kentucky, called Tri-State Gospel.
My great grandma's from Falmouth.
Have you heard him?
No, I can't say it.
Well, if you get a chance, just put them on FM sometime and listen to
Yeah.
them.
I mean, I just try to be a good person nowadays, you know.
Well, good. That's how.
I'm not real religious.
No.
Per se. I was forced to go to church camp a lot when I was a kid, and church all the time and
Yeah.
stuff.
You
And
was probably an A student at Ryle, wasn't you?
they kicked me out of my second year.
Oh.
Sent me to alternative school.
My wife used to work.
Well, the secret is not what happened to you all through life.
No, I get that. I just think I would say I'm spiritual.
Yeah, you are spiritual. I can tell that just the way you've been talking to me.
Yeah, I just I look at it in a different way.
Yeah.
For example, I would say I'm half Scandinavian,
Yeah.
and you know anything about pagans and how they live life. It actually wasn't a religion; it was more of a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that way of life consisted of just kind of staying humble, you know,
Yeah.
giving back to the earth every day, and
Survival.
living off of the earth, and
Yeah.
just kind of just
Live and
real,
let live.
real natural things, you know. And,
Yeah. Absolutely.
growing up, I spent weeks on end in the woods by myself, and
Yeah.
that was just one of my favorite things to do.
One of the beauties of life.
Yeah, I just feel in touch when I'm outside amongst nature, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say I got my own idea about it, just same
Yeah.
as anybody else.
Absolutely.
And I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything by any means.
No, it's what you've garnered and learned and
Yeah.
studied.
I've seen, I guess what you would call the epitome of evil, and
You've seen good, bad, and the ugly.
I've just learned that I've learned what I want.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's everyone has to see their own pathway, and but one thing he did give us, as a guide, at least, I used to carry this with me everywhere I went. In fact, from 1985 on, until my legs got so messed up I couldn't hardly carry it with me. My Bible, and I had governors and presidents sign in it, and senators all over the state and all over the country. And I used to have them carry that sign in it. One time, Governor Burton Jones, I was on the speaker's platform down in Fancy Farm Picnic. And he said, John, he said, why do you have people sign in the Bible? And I said, well, Burton, I said, he was governor at that time. I said, I get an opportunity from being up here on the stage with all these dignitaries and politicians and all the way from presidents like Jimmy Carter all the way down. I said, I ask them to sign my Bible because I want them to know, as a teacher, that's the most important book in the world to me. Because I can read in that Bible, and it gives me the history lessons, not only how the world was created, but how the mistakes that we've made and the good things that we've done, the good deeds we've done, and all of these things are lessons to me. And history is the light to our future. I've always said, whether you're in the woods or whether you're...
Nowadays, everybody's trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, I know. And I sit back and I wonder myself, that's the reason I write.
All the colleges around.
Yeah, right. But you see...
history will always repeat itself no matter what.
It always repeats itself, and it's the light to what's going to happen in the future. And
It's supposed to make you learn from it, not be forgotten, so you
right.
so you
You're
make
right.
the same
That's right.
mistake.
That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head.
Well, if there's one thing I was good at in school, it was history, and it was English, and it wasn't math. But one thing I always really, really, really enjoyed was music and history.
Yep.
And I filled myself up with more of that than I ever did school.
Well, we have a lot of things in common then. That history was my love, and that's the reason that I drove 42,000 miles through Kentucky, filming the history of all 120 counties on site at their local courthouses. And you would love to watch that on YouTube then. If you get on my YouTube site, you'd see me doing all that back in 1987. And the History of Kentucky by Dr. Thomas Clark. and about 350 other historians I interviewed. Right, Harry?
Yeah,
And
pretty cool.
then my trip through Europe, 8 countries through Europe, I filmed the history of those countries and life in those countries.
And when I was a kid, I instead of doing my homework, I would get on the one computer in our house and get on VH1 Classics or
Yeah.
anything like that, and I would just absorb everything, and I would always connect it with anything in movies or anything like that, and I always would look up the history of the time period as well, and learn the politics behind it, and a lot of times that's why songs were even written.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you start finding out that when you start creating that web, you find more and more things that connect to it. Or,
It's a real
many,
history,
many,
yeah.
Many things that connect
Absolutely.
to it. And it just, just makes you even more aware of it. And
Yeah. Well, now see, that gives you talents to do teaching yourself. You're teaching me just right here by listening to you.
Yeah.
Right, Harry?
Yeah.
And this is how I learn, by chatting with people.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've been a people person my whole life, and my dad not being around as much as you could have been, I just pretty much learned everything I know by anybody I ever ran across.
yeah,
And that's the way I still go about it.
yeah.
You learn a lot more from people that have lived a crazy life than you do from a teacher in a classroom.
Well, it's been a beautiful journey for me. I've had my ups and my downs, as I write about on my Facebook page and YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I go back into a lot of my history and the many mistakes I've made and many faults I've had, and try to be honest with people. And I try to tell them that the most important thing here is love, and trying to follow the teachings that Jesus set for us, and learning, watching historians and learning the history, and caring, just simply caring for people, giving people a lift up in life. My mother wrote a beautiful verse that's on my post, and she wrote that as a sophomore at the old Crittenden School in high school. And it's a beautiful verse called, "Service to humanity and God's the best work of life. Give a lift to your fellow man."
So I just spent
And
a lot of time in Crittenden. It's not a bad, well, it used to not be such a bad area, but man, it's got some characters in it now.
Yeah, yeah, it has.
I remember one night, you know where the KOI is right off the exit?
In
In Crittenden.
Crittenden,
What?
The KOI.
KOY, right off of Crittenden exit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you know that house that burned down right across from it?
I think I do.
Just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
A few years ago. Well, that was my uncle's house, and it was pretty crazy scene. And a bad drug deal went wrong in that house, and the lady got shot,
Oh, brother.
and they burnt the house down with her in it.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And I can remember one night in high school, we were there partying and, doing what we did. And I remember there was a night where almost 300 people died in one night in Cincinnati because they put elephant tranquilizer in the heroin that was going around.
Oh, mercy.
And the next night when we were sitting around drinking and smoking and whatever, I remember there was probably about 10 ambulances that came flooding into the trailer park that used to be next door. And every single trailer, somebody was out in the driveway dying and getting Narcan.
Oh, boy.
There's about 10 ambulances, about 30 different people dying out there outside. We just looked out the window and thought, what the hell? And it was
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It was a flood. It came from Cincinnati right over the river.
You just never know in life, do you?
That's all the world is anymore. It's hard once you're in that life, to really look past it.
Well, that's one thing nice about studying the Bible. You do learn in the Bible, studying it, that eventually there's an end time. We don't never know for sure when it's going to be, but there will be an end time. And we do know the end of the story because Jesus tells it and God tells us in Genesis about the end of the story. And we know that we end well if we do one thing, and that is just invite Jesus into our hearts. As long as we've got invited into our hearts and we believe, then we'll wind up in heaven for eternity. And that's a wonderful thought to have in the back of your mind. I appreciate talking to you today, though. I appreciate talking to Harry today. And it's been an honor to be here with you, Harry. And an honor to be here with you, young man. Now, I wish you best in life. If there's ever any way I can help you in any way, you just give me a call. I'm on Facebook under John Stephenson, and with a Stephenson. And if you ever need a reference for a job or something, and I can give you one, I'd be happy to do so. Because you're a bright young man with a good outlook.
I think I burnt my scalp. You're good, brother. I think I burnt my scalp over the weekend, so it heated up a little quicker.
Travels with John Stephenson, 859-750-0000. God bless you and have a great day.